Let's multiply some mixed numbers today. You're going to find that it's not very different from some stuff that we already should know. So let's take a look at our first problem. Last week, John's fruit stand sold 4 2/3 boxes of oranges. Down the road, Scarlett's fruit stand sold half as many boxes of oranges as John did. How many boxes of oranges did Scarlett's fruit stand sell? So let's take a look. So we have John's fruit stand sold 4 2/3, and Scarlett's sold half as many. And what does that mean, half as many? It means half of 4 2/3. Okay, and we should know that when we take part of a number, a fraction of a number, a percent of a number, we are actually going to multiply. So we can change this to 1/2 times 4 2/3. Okay, it might look a little daunting. And to some of you, you might say, hey, you know what? I can probably do this in my head because I know that 1/2 of 4 is 2 and 1/2 of 2/3 is 1/3. So that's probably my answer. But of course, in math, we need to be sure. So I am going to multiply. Now, the thing is that we don't multiply mixed numbers. And so this is where a skill that you already know comes into play. We need to change 4 2/3, so that it looks like a fraction. How do we do that? We change it to an improper fraction, and that would be 4 times 3, which is 12, plus 2, which is 14. So that's going to be 14/3 times 1/2. And let's see what we get. Again, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. And so you're going to get 14 over 2 times 3 is 6. And we want to write as a whole number or a mixed number or a fraction. But this fraction is improper, and we don't want an improper answer. So I'm going to divide 14 divided by 6 is equal to 6 goes into 14 2 times, and that would be 12. And we have 2 and 2/6, which equals 2 and 1/3, and looky here, okay? So our instinctual answer, or you could even kind of think of it as an estimate or a prediction of what a sensible answer would be, and voila, we have our answer. So how many boxes of oranges did Scarlett's fruit stand sell? She sold 2 1/3 boxes. Okay, let's look at another example. So this was an example of a fraction times a mixed number. Let's look at another example. Jalen's lemon cookie recipe calls for 2 1/3 cups of sugar. How much sugar would Jalen use to make 4 1/3 batches of cookies? Okay, so again, we're interested in finding 4 1/3 groups of 2 1/3. So that's clearly multiplication. So we are multiplying 2 1/3 times 4 1/3. Okay, how are we going to do this? We need to have fractions because we don't know how to multiply mixed numbers. I could actually tell you, but it's really complicated. So let's see, we're going to change 2 and 1/3. How many thirds are in 2 and 1/3? Well, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So 7 thirds times 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13 thirds. And let's see, so that's going to be equal to 7 times 13 over 3 times 3. I know my denominator is going to be 9. That's the easy part. And let's see, 7 times 3. Let's do it over here. 7 times 13. 7 times 3 is 21. And 7 times 1 is 7, 8, 9. So we get 91. Okay. And we have 91 divided by 9. And that would be 9 goes into 9 one time. And that's 0. Bring the 1 down. 9 does not go into 9, so we get 10. And we have this remainder. So we're going to put it as our numerator. And so go back to the problem. How much sugar would Jalen use? Jalen would use 10 and 1/9 cups of sugar. And Jalen, good luck finding a measuring cup for 1/9. Now let's take a look at one more example. Let's look at Granny's special cake. And here we have the recipe. Now, remember, when we do something with a recipe, let's say I want to double the recipe. No, let's triple the recipe just to make things interesting. Okay, let's say I want to make 3 cakes. This is how fractions come into play with cooking. When you triple a recipe, you must triple each ingredient. Otherwise, the proportions are different, the thing will taste different, and usually it won't taste so good. All right? So I'm going to triple the recipe, and specifically I'm going to ask, how much flour would I need? Well, to triple means to multiply by 3. So I'm going to take 3 times the amount of flour, and the recipe calls for 2 2/3 cups. So 2 2/3. I want 3 times 2 2/3. Okay, now I know that 2 2/3 is 2 times 3 is 6, 7, 8/3. But here I have a whole number. What am I going to do? Hopefully you remember that when we have a whole number that we want to look like a fraction, we are going to put it over 1. Okay? And so we have 3 times 8 is 24. And, well, I kind of took the shortcut there. 3 times 8 over 1 times 3. We don't want to skip any of the steps. 3 times 8 is 24 over 3, and 24 divided by 3 is going to give you 8. So you need 8 cups of flour for 3 cakes. And I'm sure that those cakes will taste delicious. And that is a really good example of why it's important to know how to multiply mixed numbers.